Hey guys, Anthony here, Bibles and Barbells. It is Sunday, March 3rd, 2019. Today I spent some time, and you'll see a video getting posted soon, rotating out some gas that I had stored here. I put about 20 gallons of gas in the bug out van that I needed to swap out. So I'm going to refill those cans later or early this week. And I made a quick video on the Wavian cans, those NATO jerry cans, and in my opinion, they're the best cans to store gas in or fuel in long term. They're bomb proof. They seal really well. The spout I have is good. The other carb compliant spouts or whatever I bought, I don't like. I show you those in the video. I always end up spilling gas when I try to use those. And then Wavian just came out with a longer one, flex, I think it's metal flex line, that makes it a lot easier to pour and empty the can out. But the one I have now with the plastic spout seals well on the can. I didn't spill a drop of gas using it, and I just like it. I just like those cans a lot. In fact, the regular red gas cans, I actually poured them into the Wavian cans and then the Wavian cans into the vehicle, just so they're so much easier to pour. So it's a good idea to have extra fuel on hand, especially if you had to bug out or leave, or if you were traveling and running low and there wasn't a place to stop, you could top off and get to where you were going. So think about that in your preps coming up. If you haven't already done so, try to store some fuel, because fuel is very important. And you know, when things go down, whether it's a disaster or storm, whatever, the gas stations usually get hit first. People are fighting and killing and doing whatever they do to get fuel, and if things really go south, that'll be a good place to get yourself killed if you're going out to fight for gas. So to have some stored is a very wise thing to do, especially now that we're getting really close to lots of physical violence in this country and civil unrest, which is it's just a heartbeat away, really, I believe. And these videos that I'm doing these are my feelings, just how I see things. So I know I haven't made one in a while. We had some things. I think the last video I made, I told you guys my wife was really sick. She had a bad case of a stomach flu. I had to end up calling I had to call 911. We had to get her to the hospital, get her fluids. And even it was really tough to get her fluids because they couldn't find her. They couldn't access her veins, were really hard to find. So she didn't get as much fluids as she needed. But she ended up recovering after about a week. But it's not a fun thing to go through. It's a good thing that I had some safety gear in like masks, gloves, goggles, just things to have. Because when she was sick, I was in between bouts of her going to the bathroom and throwing up or whatever she was doing. I went in and disinfected and cleaned. I sort of gowned up, if you will, cleaned the area, disinfected it, kind of kept her isolated. And lo and behold, and this was several weeks ago, I did not get sick. So it's a real, and I was praying, God, don't let me get sick too, because it'd be hard to take care of her with me being sick. So it's when I think about, that was in normal times when we could call 911, and it was about 1 in the morning, and you could go to the hospital. But imagine if you couldn't go to the hospital. Imagine if it happened and somebody had to go to the hospital or be rushed there and there was nowhere to go. Like, think of Venezuela, for instance. And we'll talk a little bit more about Venezuela later on. But one of the things I learned, and I had it before my wife got sick, is she's on several different medications. Some because of her illness that she had with the brain tumor, but others just routine stuff that she has to be on. And so what I do is I keep a list on my phone of all the medicines, because when the EMS personnel arrived at the house, they said, is she on any type of medications? And I was able to pull them up. I have a hard copy in a folder also, so I was able to pull them up on the phone and go outside and show the ambulance EMS people what she was on, you know, the dosages, the names of the products, and that way they could tell the hospital. So that was a pretty, that was a pretty harrowing experience over the last couple weeks. Some other things, just really busy at work. You guys know I work about 50 miles from my house, so and we're really busy in what I do, the managing of the people that I do, the managing of the sites that I have, and the responsibilities that I have. Sometimes it's just I'm just too drained to make videos, but I'm going to try to travel with my camera and the suction cup and make some videos from the vehicle, because coming home at night, sometimes it's an hour and a half. If traffic's bad, it's up to 2 hours. So I could definitely make some videos on some current events while I'm driving, which I plan to do. So expect more of those coming down the pike. One of the things we did here recently, my wife and I did it as a couple, and I strongly urge you, if you have not, you and your spouse, whether it's your husband or your wife, get together, get your concealed carry weapons permit in the state that you live in. It's very important. It's going to be extremely important for both of you to carry, because you're not always going to be with each other. A man's not always going to be there to protect his wife. You're separated, you're working, your wife's home, or vice versa. Your wife's working, the man's home. Whatever situation you're in, you both need to have access to a firearm, and do it legally through your through your local. And it's easy to look it up. You could look it up based on where you live, and there's classes at gun shops. There's classes on online. You could take if you do a Google search in your area, you could find out when the concealed weapons permit classes are. They go on continually. I happen to have a friend at the gym who was hosting one at his house. He knew a gentleman that's a police officer that does the teaching also, and as long as he has at least 5 people, he'll come to your house, he'll do it, he'll do the course. And so we did that several weeks ago. I think there were 7 of us. My friend and his wife put out a little dinner. I think we had tacos and some fruits, and it was really nice. We ate. The gentleman that did the class came over. He ate with us. We chit-chatted for about an hour, and then we did the classroom portion. We kind of broke it up in the way we did the class. So we did the classroom portion, which encompassed a 50-question test at the end, which we all took and we all passed. And then you have to do a shooting portion, and then that was scheduled later on. And in the interim, my wife had got sick, so we missed the one that he did with the class, so we had to reschedule, and that we did last Saturday was our one, and it was outside on a private land that he had access to. And that day it was raining and like real cold, drizzly rain, and so we had to go outside and do that. And I was really, really proud of my wife. We went one time. Actually, I spent about an hour and a half in the house with her with dummy rounds, with a Glock 17. We practiced loading magazines with dummy rounds. We practiced racking the slide back with dummy rounds, ejecting a round from the chamber, dropping the mag, just the controls of the weapon, because she had not used a weapon in a long time. And so then later that week, before the shooting portion, we went to the range, the shooting range, indoor range, and we practiced actual shooting. She practiced with, again, a Glock 17, which is what I wanted her and I to use to qualify with in the course. And then when it came time for the actual shooting test for the permit, she did really well. She wasn't, really nervous. We did all the positions that were required. Required 50 rounds from the holster, drawing the gun, putting it on target, shooting as per commanded at different distances. And we did that. And so that was done, and then we completed this past week by going and get our fingerprints done, and then everything else was sent in, and we should have our permits, our carry permits, in about 3 weeks. So by the end of March, we should be good to go with our concealed weapons permits, both her and I, which I think was very important. So yes, we both qualified on, we both used the Glock 17, which is what I'm carrying today, and this gun is loaded. This is my primary carry gun. It's usually in a Kydex holster in the pants, and so now I'll be able to carry it with my concealed weapons permit everywhere I go, basically. So this is the gun most of the time that's on me. Glock 17, loaded with a Hollow Points extra magazine or magazines with me, and my wife, not sure what she's going to end up carrying. I did look at the yesterday. I went to the range with my dad. I looked at the new Glock, the Glock 48, I believe, the single stack one, 10 rounds. It looks like a really nice gun. I didn't physically see the 43X. I like that one as well for my wife. So I think what we're going to do is go out this week and kind of look at those two weapons, the 43X and the 48, only because they're single stack, or it might be a little easy for her to carry. However, I have a Glock 17, a 26, and a 19, so either one of those three she could carry as well if she's comfortable. If she wanted something a little thinner, that's why I was thinking a single stack. I've also got some other 9s, but I want to stick with my platform and my this is just my philosophy, guys. And I have several different types of or brands of firearms. I always find myself going back to Glock. I just like the operating system. I like how they break down. I like how they're easy to shoot. Are they the best, most ergonomically and most comfortable in the hand? For me, yes, it is. The Glock 17. I have a Gen 4. I love it. I have a Gen 1 or 2 19 that I've had now for, gosh, it's got to be close to 30 years. The gun shoots flawlessly. I was shooting it yesterday. I just like Glocks, and I'll stake my life on buying a Glock out of the box, putting it on my hip. I'll stake my life on it, and that's what I roll with. And so that's what I'm going to try to get my wife to roll with as well. That way we're both carrying similar platforms. If she opts to carry the 17, that's great, or maybe even the 19 or the 26. At least those with the full-size mags, the mags are all interchangeable between those weapon systems. So that's what I like. So that's what's going on, what has been going on around here, where basically everyone's healthy, everyone's doing well here in our family. And again, just working has been taking up a lot of time, and just working seems to get in the way all the time. But it has to be done. I'm not old enough to retire yet, nor am I ready to retire. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, maybe I'll just keep going in this video, just a little bit about prepping and about some current events and what I think is coming down the pike the next year to 2 years with the elections, next presidential elections coming up. Actually, here in Charlotte, if you guys don't know, the Republican convention is going to be held here. So I am expecting here lots of turmoil and lots of protests, lots of activity that go on here while that's going on. The days and weeks leading up to it, the actual event, during the event, afterwards. I just think it's going to be a hotbed for trouble here in the Charlotte, North Carolina and surrounding areas into South Carolina. I don't think it's going to be a pretty situation based on what I've seen in the 2016 elections on how the Democrats and the socialists and those that side with them just showed their true ugly colors. And I mean true ugly colors. I mean beating down conservative supporters of a president that was running for office, undermining his administration even before it came into power, What they're doing now in the last couple of years is just a travesty, when they are the ones that have committed most of the crimes and atrocities in the last 8+ years. It's just very, very sad to see that. But what saddens me even more is there's so many people with the ideology that these people have. It's just this militant, abusive, condescending, do it my way or it's the highway type attitude. And if you don't like it, you get beat down or you're going to get run over. And I think it's coming to a boiling point. I think it's going to come to, I just don't see good outcomes leading up to the next election. I don't like what I see. I don't like the way the country is headed. If you just listen to some of these people when they talk or give speeches or are interviewed, or just just watch their facial expressions, how they speak, their ideology, what they say and think about, what they want to do, what they have planned for the country, a Green New Deal, just another way to rape and destroy the middle class and take more money. The world's not coming to an end with global warming. It's all bullcrap. Yet they're hanging on to it and presenting it like it's do or die. And you got people like Ocasio-Cortez in New York. You hear a 29-year-old barmaid or whatever she was a bartender, basically talking down to everybody and talking like she's going to be in control and you're going to like it, or she's going to just run you over. And that's just not it's not going to happen, because we're just not going to listen to what they say and what they try to push on us, no matter how hard they try. And so I think that it's going to be interesting, to say the least, on how they're going to try to push this agenda, whether it's going to be through violence, whether it's going to be through intimidation, some types of taxation, or maybe even some type of economic downturn that causes people to maybe catches them off guard and makes them vulnerable to lean a certain way, so these people can get their way. I do see some of that on the horizon. I think that's definitely going to be part of it. And an economic collapse can be a combination of things that happens. It could be something with the oil prices. It could be something with computer hacking. It could be something with an EMP. The trigger points are many. It could be a terrorist attack. It could be several false flag attacks that happen. It's just the scenarios are endless. But the end result is you and I and those other God-fearing Americans, if you want to say it that way, have to be ready for these situations. And listen, no matter what you and I do, no matter what we do in our prepping or to get ready or to put aside food and water and medical, and you could still be caught off guard. You could still be, things can still happen where everything can go out the window. But you have to have your boots on, and you have to be always doing something and not be caught totally 100% off guard. You have to know in the back of your mind something's going to go down. Something's going down just by listening to how these people are talking and what they want to do for the country. I'd like to know, and maybe somebody out there that's watching can send me the list. Send me a list of what these Democrats or socialists have done for their constituents in their various districts over the last 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 years, 15, 20 years. Send me a list. I want to see a bullet pointed list of what they've done for the people in their areas of operation where they run. Because every area that you see where these people come out of is a hellhole. It's a hellhole. What are they doing? They're basically giving away free stuff and letting their districts implode, basically. And then on top of that, they want to bring in people from around the world that nobody knows who they are, and just blend them in, give them everything they want as long as they'll vote their way. And that just doesn't, the average person, just think to yourself, if that happens over and over and again, and it's happened through various presidencies leading up to now, and here you have the problems that we have as a nation. And now you're voting on passing killing babies at birth. I mean, it's just demonic. It's murderous. These people just sicken me to the point where I just feel like screaming. I mean, how could you sit there and talk logically about a baby being born and then a mother having the choice and the doctor terminating that baby after it's born, let alone a regular abortion? The murderous campaign that's been taken here for many, many years with regular abortions. Now we're getting to the point where what's next? So after all these states ratify being able to kill babies after birth, what's next? The lame, the retarded, the handicapped, the autistic, senior citizens that maybe are too sick or, it opens the door to genocide. It opens the door to genocide. It opens the door to population control. What you're seeing is that with the killing of babies being born, it's opening the door to population control. And if we don't speak up and do something about it, it's going to take hold and it's going to affect us at some point down the road. You can't let the bully keep picking on you and not do something at some point. At some point you have to stand back and hit the bully in the head and let him know that you're not going to take his crap. And then he steps back and he wisens up, usually. Then if he doesn't, you have to hit him again. But when you do hit him, you have to be ready to keep hitting. Because then you're in the fight. And I think America, the path that we're going on is the path to oblivion. It's a path to God's judgment. And I said that in other videos, and I'll say it in every video that I do. The path we're on right now is a path of judgment from God above. It has to happen. It cannot keep going this way. We are not holding to what we say we are. We're not holding to it. We're supposed to be a Christian nation, or at least we say we are. What's a Christian nation? Christian nation are believers in Jesus Christ. Basically, that's what it is. Believers in Jesus Christ. Born again believers in Jesus Christ that are called out and separate and holy and dedicated to Him and follow His commands and not just let and stay quiet when government leaders talk about killing and murdering. That's against a basic commandment. And then we worship multiple genders, any type of sex we want, homosexuality. The list goes on and on. We break God's commands. Jesus said, you have to follow my commands. My followers follow me and follow my commands. And my commands are not burdensome. The 10 Commandments are not burdensome. They're not burdensome. Worshipping idols, worshipping anything but the Creator, everything but the Creator is what we're doing as a nation. Worshipping everything but the Creator. We even worship politicians. They can't save us. In fact, they're sending us to hell. They're bringing judgment upon us and we're sitting idly by while they do it. And now the push is going to be to take these away. That's the next push. Disarm the populace. New gun laws. New restrictions. Ammo restrictions. Turn in this. Gun lists. Registries. It's going to come in breakneck speed. One after the other. Why? Because they cannot put their final plans together with an armed populace like we have in the United States. What, 70, 80 million, maybe 100 million gun owners? It's pretty hard for somebody to come over and force you to do something when you're armed. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, armed men and women willing to defend themselves are not a good combination to somebody that wants to step on you. Ask the people in Venezuela that when Chavez charmed them into giving their guns up, and he promised them free medical care and food and housing and free money. Same things you're hearing today. They gave up their weapons, and what are they doing now? They're eating out of garbage trucks. They're eating out of garbage trucks. They can't fight against the government because they have no weapons. They're starving. They fled the country, many of them. Because of what? Because of socialism. Because of dictatorship. That's where we're headed in this country. That's what we don't want. Or do we want it? Maybe we do want it. Maybe that's what we have to do to learn. Maybe you have to learn the hard way. You have to learn the hard way. I heard that when I was growing up, when I was a kid. You want to learn the hard way? Daddy's going to give you a beating if you don't listen to him. You're going to learn the hard way. If you don't listen to your mother, you're going to get a beating. You're going to learn the hard way. And by golly, several times I did get a beating. And I got back in line. But is that what we want? Do we want to get a beating, a beatdown as a country? And say, look at what we blew here. Look at who we let into office. Look at who's getting elected. People that are sympathetic to ISIS. People bringing in terrorists, supporting people in different states like Minnesota that support terror, that don't hold to our traditions and values and culture here in America. Is that what we want? I don't know. I don't know, guys, but I know this. I'm not going to stand for it. Certainly not. I'm going to speak up. I'm going to do what I can to tell others. But it has to be at a grassroots level. Each and every American has to stand shoulder to shoulder against these people, whoever they are, however many there are, and however many they're bringing in and planting here to support their side of what they want to do here in this country. What they want. What is the end game? What is the country, if Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer or Maxine Waters took over tomorrow, what would their vision of the country be? How would they operate things if Bernie Sanders was president? How would things operate? Well, some of you people are buffaloed by his socialist talk. Sounds good on paper. Oh, we don't have to work. We get everything for free. Maybe robots do our work and we just sit back and smoke cigars and go kayaking all day. It doesn't work that way. Nothing's free. It's all bullcrap. Their plans are bullcrap, and their plans entail trillions and trillions of dollars that they don't even know where they're going to get it from. The only way they could get all that money is to raid every pension, 401k, savings plan, bank, and rape everything and take everything away from the American people. The rich can't pay all that money. They already pay most of the taxes. Where are you going to get all the money from? By raiding what you and I have in the bank, in our 401k, and savings, blah, 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 down the road. That's where they're going to get it. How are they going to do it? Combination of things. Like a fighter, like a good fighter that has somebody on the ropes, and he's hitting them with uppercuts, jabs, right hands. He's doing combinations of punches. We're going to see combinations of every angle of attack. Green New Deal, gun control, more restrictions on financial, the banking system, more new laws and taxes, any way to funnel money, inflation, high interest rates. Come on, guys, wake up. And one man, Donald Trump, even though I believe he'll get elected again if he decides to run. He can't save us, because it's we, the people, that are really on the end of the attack. Because when Donald Trump goes away and he's done with his 2 terms, then what? There has to be a plan in place. There has to be momentum going in another direction to take us to where we need to be as a nation again, to take us back to the center line at least, and then get back on course. Because we're headed to the iceberg. The ship's still afloat. We're headed to the iceberg. We just haven't hit it yet. Or maybe we've started to hit it. It just hasn't ripped into the hull yet, and ripped out the hull and started flooding the decks. And people haven't started jumping ship yet, which is next on their list. Just look at history. Look at what people have done in history. Dictators. Genocidal, maniacal, murderous dictators. Look at what they did. Just study it. Same thing happens over and over again, and people don't understand and don't learn, because they think this time it's going to work. It's not. It's not. We have to wake up as a nation, stop fighting each other, and turn our anger on the real damage that's being done, and fix it. And don't give 1 inch to your First Amendment, Second Amendment rights. 1 inch. In fact, there should be more lenient gun laws. There should be more constitutional carry. No registries, no lists, no turning in weapons, none of this bullcrap bump stock stuff that's all smoke and mirrors. Without it, without the Second Amendment, nothing else is going to hold. It's the glue that holds our country together. It's the glue that holds our country together. So think about this day, this Sunday, as you go about the rest of your day and night. What is the country going to look like in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, if these people get into power, if they usurp a sitting president like they're trying to do, impeach him, degrade him, arrest him, investigate everybody he's associated with? For what? They're the ones that committed all the crimes. They're the ones that dealt with the Russians, took payoffs in the millions. They're the ones that did gun running. They're the ones that left our men and our leaders to die in foreign countries without giving them support. They're the ones that got 20 Navy SEALs murdered and never solved the case. When's it going to stop? Or is it going to continue? I'll cut this video short, guys. Let me know what you think. Hope this video was helpful. Again, I'll have more videos on specific topics as I do some driving in the days to come. And I'm glad to be back on YouTube, glad to be putting some videos out. And I hope you are all taking this seriously, but more than that, take some time this week, not just to look at current events. Take some time, shut everything down. TV, radio, everything. Lock yourself in the closet, in your prayer room, your den, your garage, wherever you do. Crack open the Bible. If you haven't, maybe you haven't done it in a while. Crack it open and just start reading. And you will see the knowledge that you gain, the insight that you'll have, if you just give time each day to Yahweh and ask Him. Say, you know what? Abba, Father, I don't know what's going on in this world. I can't comprehend it. The evil that has been unleashed. The demonic activity that's taking place, Yahweh. Help me. Help me to understand it. Help protect me. In the name of your Son, Yeshua, Jesus, protect me, guide me, lead me, forgive me for my shortcomings. I'm sorry for them. I want to turn from them and head down your path, which is the narrow path that leads somewhere everlasting and beautiful. It's called heaven. But you could be on that road to heaven now. Understand it. You could be on that road to heaven now, even in the midst of turmoil and trouble. And not on the wide, broad path that leads to destruction that so many are going down in this country. And many of them are in churches today, getting led down the wide, narrow path, that leads to hell by their pastors, their priests, that are not preaching repentance and the Word of God in truth and love. But they're preaching a false doctrine, a mixed doctrine, mixed and merged with Eastern religions and demonic deception. No, know the Word. Know the Word. You don't have the Lord until you know the Word. You have to know the Word. Don't say you have Jesus and you never read the Bible. Because you don't have the real Jesus if you've never read the Bible and put it to heart and understood what it meant and what he said. The words of Jesus. You've never read the Bible, you don't have Jesus. Odds are you have a false Jesus. Read it, absorb it, and pray. That's how our country is going to turn. God's mighty hand can change things in a minute. Maybe he did send Donald Trump to cause all this and wake everybody up. He unseated the evil that was there, lurking in the shadows, and now it's out in full force. At least we could see it. They're coming at us left and right. Fight back. Fight back. It's not just physical. It's a spiritual battle. First and foremost, it's a spiritual battle, first and foremost. Physical is secondary. The demonic deception, you can't fight. I can't fight it physically. There's ranks and realms and dimensions we don't even know about. But yet you could fight in those dimensions if you wield the sword of the Spirit. The Bible says it. The sword of the Spirit is what they fear. The Word of God. That's why you have to know it. That's why you have to know it. I hope you're taking this video to heart. It's not just doom and gloom. It's hope. It's faith and hope. And strength and power. From above. First and foremost. That's who gives us our strength. That's who causes us to stand shoulder to shoulder. As Americans. As believers. As Christians. Like we say we are. Good night. Take care. God bless. Anthony signing off. Stay ready.